Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasodanandana Bhajanarandana Jasodanandana Bhajanarandana Jamunti Ravanachari Jamunti Ravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasodanandana Bhajanarandana Jamunati Ravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribhajakacharya Satata Shishman. His Divine Grace Abhaya Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Kora Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namchar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mathura Dham Ki. Dwarka Dham Ki. Navadip Dham Ki. Jagannathpuri Dham Ki. Jamuna Mai Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Sambheda Bhakti Vinda Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sri Radhagiri Radhi Ki. Bo Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to divine literacy. To Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So we're going to chant 28. I'll just chant myself and then we'll do 20. Anyway, we'll sort it out. I'm going to do 27 because there's no purport, and then 28 we'll chant. Well, let's just do that. Let's just start with 29. So we stay within the usual process. If we can get technology to work with this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Sadamo Bhagate Dhammaganadi Bisaha Kalandasa Dashamesha Purano Konadodata Narayana Namaskritcha Naram Chaivam Narottama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. The Bhagavatam is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge of religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali shall get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our merry means of conquest, we should first offer our respects to the personality of God Narayan, to the Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, the goddess of learning Mother Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So, now we've got to do this again. Well, okay. Vishvak Sparantam Grahanatoram Harir Vyalo Yatakum Kulishak Sata Twacham Dvari Uram Apatya Dadara Lilaya Nakar Yatahim Gururo Maha Visham Vishvaksparantam Gahanataram Hare Vyalo Yata Kum Kulishak Tvacham Dware Uramapatya Tadara Lilaya Nakayata Him Garudo Mahavisham Vishvaksparantam Grahanataram Hare Vyalo Yata Kum Kulishak Tatacham Dwari Uram Apatya Tadara Lilaya Nakayata Him Garudo Mahavisham Vishvaksparantam Gahanataram Hare Vyalo Yata Kum Kulishak Tvacham Dwari Uramapatya Tadara Lilaya Nakayata Him Garudo Mahavisham Vishvaksparantam Gahanataram Hare Vyalo Yataku Tvacham Dware Uramapatya Dara Lilaya Nakayata Him Garudo Mahavisham Vishvaksparantam Gahanataram Hare Vyalo Yatakum Vishanakatam Dwari Uramapatya Dadara Lilaya Yaka Him Garudo Mahavisham Dwari Uramapatya Dadara Lilaya Nakayata Him Garudo Mahavisham. One more person. Vishvaksparantam Gahanataram Hare Vyalo Yatakum Kulishak Tatacham Dwari Uramapatya Dadara Lilaya Nakayata Him Garudo Mahavisham. Vishvak, all around. Sparantam, moving his limbs. Grahanaturam, afflicted by being captured. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsingadev. Vyala, a snake. Yata, just as. Akum, a mouse. Kulisha aksata, not cut even by a thunderbolt thrown by Indra. Tvacham, whose skin. Dwari, on the threshold of the door. Urum, on his thigh. Apatya, placing. Dadara, pierced. Lilaya, very easily. Nakai, with the nails. Yata, just as. Ahim, a snake. Garuda, Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu. Mahavisham, very envious. Oh, venomous. Yeah, you're right. So, the previous verse, making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who was extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakasipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakasipu moved sometimes in the sky, sometimes on the earth, his eyes closed because of fear of Nrsinga's laughter. Now, today's verse 29. As a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nrsinga captured Hiranyakasipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakasipu moved his limbs here and there and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsingadev placed the demon on his lap, supported him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Lord Nrsingadev ki jai. I remember, just as a sidelight, one of the first times I met the devotees on Sankirtan in Laguna Beach, there was a back to Godhead with a picture of Lord Nrsingadev ripping apart Hiranyakasipu and Prahlad standing by with a garland, you know. I remember thinking, well, I know they're vegetarian, but I guess don't get them angry. You know, that's what I was thinking. Little did I know the actual position of the Lord. Prabhupada says, Hiranyakasipu had received from Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Lord Brahma intact, Nrsingadev placed Hiranyakasipu's body on his lap, which was neither land nor sky. Hiranyakasipu had received the benediction that he would not die either at daytime or night. Therefore, to keep his promise to Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakasipu in the evening, which is the end of the day and the beginning of the night, but is neither day or night, twilight. Hiranyakasipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he would not die from any weapon or killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Nrsingadev pierced Hiranyakasipu with his nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. Indeed, the nails can be called dead, and at the same time they can be said to be alive. To keep intact all the Brahma's benedictions, Lord Nrsingadev paradoxically but very easily killed the great demon Hiranyakasipu. Om Ganate Marandasya Gyanagana Salakaya Chakshushan Militan Gena Tasareshi Gurave Namaha. Hello there. Just to recap a little bit and thinking about Balaram's class yesterday. Sometimes it looks like the materialists are quite victorious. You have a good run. But you know, how much, like one man kept saying to Prabhupada, as far as I can see. Well, as far as I can see. And Prabhupada said, that's my point. How far can you see? So how far do we see? We just see a flash moment and we think, okay, well, that's what's happening. But there's a long coarse, like the tip of the iceberg. So there's and I don't know who says it. I thought it was in the Bible, but it's not. The wheel of justice turns slowly, but grinds infinitely fine. Everybody gets, we don't see how it's working, what's our reference point. But everybody gets exactly what they deserve, and the plan of the Lord cannot be thwarted. First, there is a plan. We live in an ordered universe. There's a purpose. It's not cold and sterile and random. It's not just chemical reactions and laws of physics. But there's a purpose. And what is it? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So it's a fact that whatever Krishna's plan is, that will happen. And we may not see how it's unfolding, but even the best of them, wasn't Prahlad Maharaj, he would refer to his father as, "O best of the demons." So even the best of the materialists, it all comes down to that. Nobody can escape. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita of, what is it? Of gamblers, I'm the cheat. And everyone's trying to game the system. Everybody's trying to put their thumbs on the scale or figure out how to manipulate material nature. But you cannot, we have a choice. We can try to mold the patterns of this world to our desire. Bend it this way, dodge this bullet, add this. What was the thing I saw the other day? I mean, look what they've done to water. So you look at, or milk. I was in the grocery store the other day, and there was like 30 kinds of milk. Low fat, this fat, calcium added, this, that, you know, no fat, you know. So, and you know, fine, you know, eat whatever you're going to eat, offer it to Krishna. But my point being, like water, if they didn't mess it up in the first place, just drink the water. It's got minerals, it's got everything, but no, they put this in and that in and so in. Always trying to game the system and manipulate. But in the ultimate issue, the will of the Lord will be done. And everybody gets what they deserve. But here's the interesting thing. Now, it may, well, there's many interesting things, but one of the interesting things is, you know, somebody said to Prabhupada one time, Prabhupada was, avajante mam mudha, which means that, you know, fools and rascals don't recognize Krishna. And mudha is a pretty, if you listen to the tape, Prabhupada speaking somewhere in India, I forget where, probably Mumbai, but, you know, to call somebody a fool, mudha, and it means like a donkey, like an ass. It's pretty strong words. Of course, it's from Krishna, but, you know. But when you hear Prabhupada say, you know, fools and rascals, mudha, oh, there's a tittering in the audience. That, oh, you know, what is this? But, so then the person said, you know, Swamiji, how is it that you're becoming angry? And you see devotees become angry sometimes. I mean, and if you look at the history, Buddha becomes angry, Jesus, throwing all the money changers out of the temple, you know. So, if God is Purnam, Om Purnamada Purnamidam, Purnat Purnam Mudachate, in that verse the word Purnam is used so many times. Anyone know what Purna, other than Dravida, anyone know what Purnam means? Hey, you're laughing, buddy. You know what Purnam means? All right, then. So, what does Purnam mean? It means complete. It means complete. It means whole. It means the totality. So how is it anger exists And if everything is found in the Supreme, Krishna is Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, everything emanates from Krishna, then where does anger must exist in God? Right? Otherwise he's not Purnam. But if God is all good, but he contains all things, he's all good, then what about cheating? What about lust? What about anger? What is this? How do you square it? How do all these things exist in the absolute? Well, when Krishna becomes angry, it's something amazing. I mean, it's anger to the nth degree. I mean, here's Hiranyakasipu. Everyone's terrified of him. When he's faced up with Lord Nrsingadev, it's a instinctual reaction. Rabbits do it. When you're faced, you can't turn left, you can't do right. Can't turn right, can't turn left, and the train's coming right at you. Children do it. What do? Freeze and close their eyes. Just close their eyes. Because what else can you do? And you just prepare for impact. I don't know exactly what you're doing. But so here is Hiranyakasipu with his eyes closed. He's fear personified, is afraid of him. But when he's faced up against Lord Nrsingadev's anger, with a shrill laughter, just and you couldn't tell where it was coming from. So this is Krishna's anger. But what happened was the brief surgical operation, which the patient did not survive. Was it disadvantageous to Lord Nrsingadev, other than Dravida? I mean, was it disadvantageous to Hiranyakasipu? Was he the loser because of that? Being shredded? No, he stopped him from his incurring greater sins, purified him from the sins he'd been performing, and he got liberated. The demigods were happy, the demons were curbed back, Prahlad Maharaj was saved and blissful, and even the agitator, the catalyst for the whole thing, the snake, Hiranyakasipu, he was delivered. So Krishna's and devotees from that moment for time immemorial. All of us have had moments when we prayed deeply to Lord Nrsingadev. I remember being wheeled into the operating room. Was I going to come out or wasn't I going to come out? I was praying to Lord Nrsingadev, I guarantee you, without distraction. And we've all been, the car accident, whatever it may be, Nrsinga, please. Or feeling overwhelmed by material desires, please remove these. As you ripped apart Lord Nrsingadev, please rip out my material desires. We've all prayed to the Lord Nrsingadev. So this pastime, Krishna's anger manifest, is good for all. Now, other than Dravida, we'll give you a chance in a minute. But other than Dravida, cheating's a bad thing. Can you even think of Krishna as a cheater? Oh, come on. Warm up the brain cells. Krishna as a cheater. Nobody? That's embarrassing. Yeah.
Well, he cheated the gopis.
Okay, I hadn't thought of that. Cheated the gopis. Okay, how else? Yeah. Bali Maharaj. Completely cheating. Came as Vamana, the dwarf, 3 steps of, all I want, 3 steps of land. You know the pastime. And lust, anger, and greed, the great enemies of the self. Krishna, 16,108 wives. Actually, I heard Prabhupada making this point the other day. Actually, it wasn't lust, that he wanted to marry all the beautiful. Those poor princesses, once they'd been captured, they were his devotees. And you can't go home. You've spent the night, and how long were they captured by? was it Banasura who'd captured them? Who'd captured them? Huh? There's a voice from outer space. Anyway, the Jarasandha had the 16,000. He saved him from them? I don't think so. But anyway, who knows? Let's not waste time on it. The point is that they were captured and kept by that Asura. So what to do? They couldn't go home. No other man would marry. This is Vedic tradition, you know. So what to do? So they prayed to Krishna, please say. So therefore Krishna married them. It wasn't selfish. It was to give his devotees shelter. People speak, but they don't understand the background or the pastime or the purpose. Prabhupada said if they can maintain one wife, they consider a major accomplishment. So Krishna's a cheater, he's lusty, he's a thief. Where's an example of Krishna as a thief? Nobody likes a thief. Well, you know, when the subway went out, the lights went out that time in New York in the 80s, people were stuck in the dark. Every New Yorker put their hand on their wallet, you can be sure. You know. First thing they do is hold on to their purse or their, you know. Nobody likes a thief. But Krishna's a thief. What's an example? Huh? Yeah, exactly so. The Damodar Leela, it's one of the sweetest Leelas, Kartik season. It's relished by all the devotees. And he steals everyone's heart, steals the gopis' clothes. He's a regular thief. So therefore we can conclude, one thing we can conclude is when something heavy is happening to us, we think, well, Krishna's all good, absolute. We know that, is your Upanishads, so many other places. And we can see that even though Krishna appears to be doing something that's inappropriate, stealing, cheating, lying, I haven't eaten dirt, you know, no, they're just making fun of me, you know. I defeated them earlier and they're getting their revenge, telling Mother Yasoda, you know. So many things. But that apparent bad quality or adverse thing is actually all good, absolute, and everyone benefits. Therefore, I'm using myself figuratively. As a devotee, I'm surrendered to Krishna. I've got a long way to go, but just in principle, a devotee surrendered under the Daiva Prakriti. Something heavy happens. And Krishna forget him, or is Krishna envious? Or as the Christians, you know, they're smiting and smoting and throwing thunderbolts and turning people into pillars of salt. I mean, it's like a horror movie, some parts of the Old Testament. Oh, what to speak of Revelations? Oh my gosh. That'll put the fear of God in you. Lakes of fire. I mean, you know. So that's one picture of God's anger. But a devotee knows that when something happens to me that appears to be a setback or a difficulty, Prabhupada says, it's a great sentence. He says behind it is the therapeutic, beneficial hand of the all-good absolute. Think about that sentence. Behind it all, when something, you say, oh, what is that all about? Why is that happening? Krishna, why are you doing this? There is the beneficial, therapeutic, which means it's curative for our advancing in spiritual life. The therapeutic, beneficial, it's all good, hand of the all good absolute. So that's some takeaway. What is the time? Whoops. That's some takeaway as a setup. Now, what was I going to say? I had another point I wanted to make. Oh, so as far as a theme, we see Hiranyakasipu. We have a choice. That's the point I wanted to make. We have a choice. We can rage, rage, rage against the dimming of the light. Or we can surrender and figure, what's the purpose? What's Krishna trying to teach me? We can't. Hiranyakasipu, who was the most powerful that's ever going to come down the pipe, and he couldn't change the laws of nature. He couldn't outrun the laws of nature. He also had to die. So he had to bow down to Krishna. Prabhupada says, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, cavil as you will, you must surrender. Cavil means argue, quibble, try to wiggle out of it, trying to find a loophole. You have to surrender. So we have a choice. Do we struggle? My brother, my 4 years older brother, I remember that we'd get in a fight over something, and he was 4 years older, so he had a bigger body. He would just hold me at a distance, and I would kick and scream and flail away. And then when I finally wore out, bam, it was just, it just waited me out, So in a similar fashion, we're not going to win against the material nature. So if we have a choice, we can fight against the hand of the Lord, our fate, or we can't. What's the opposite of fighting? Surrender. Very good. And what is the word dovetail? Prabhupada uses this word dovetail. I looked it up. Does anyone know what the word where dovetail actually comes from? It's a bird, pigeons, dovetail? Huh? Think about it. Anyone know what dovetail means? Hey, wait 2 points. It's a term that comes from carpentry. And it means you have a window or a door or a corner, and you cut the piece to comport to the existing shape. You fit it in there. Like, I can't do it, like, whatever, Picture, you got a V, and you put a smaller V inside. It fits. You comport the object to fit the existing shape. When traffic merging traffic, are you driving along in your little car and you see a sign, merging traffic? Do all of a sudden pop, 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 like bubbles coming together? All of a sudden, you're all in a giant car with 16 people in it because you're all merging traffic. What does it mean, merging traffic? Okay, Dravida.
It means that there are, say, 4 lanes that have to come into 3 or into 2.
It means you're all going in the same direction. You're merging in the same direction. It's not that you all became homogeneous and all of a sudden you're in a bus together. You're going in the same direction. So we have a choice. And our choice is we can rail against the wind, like Lear on the moor, whatever it is, cursing our fate. Or we can just see that behind this is Krishna's hand. What is one of the best ways when we're in a difficult position? And we can't figure out why is Krishna doing this? What's a really good way to find out why Krishna is doing this? Something most people never want to do. Pray is okay, but you can think so many things. Pray is good. It's good. What's that?
Look at what you did wrong and why.
Okay, but did I do something wrong? Sometimes we don't think we did something wrong. If we're not looking for prayer, although prayer is a good answer, looking for what we did wrong, that's also a good answer. Ask devotees. Ask a senior devotee. Why do you think this is happening to me? Take advice. I remember my father, we used to go on a summer trip. Every year, family trip. Go to the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone or whatever. It was fun. So but my father would get lost. This is before GPS days. And he would never, you think I'm proud, Here's the lineage. It comes. He would never ask for direction. His name was Robert. My mom called him Bob. And she'd say, Bob, we've gone past that hotel 4 times, which means you're going in a circle. He wouldn't take the hint. She'd say, Bob, we're surrounded by people who know exactly where they are, you know? Just ask somebody. But, you know, false ego and pride, especially, you know, white male, you know, whatever. It's difficult for them. So the point I'm trying to make is that Krishna wins. You can't cheat. You can't game the system. You can't get out of it. You may not understand why it's happening, but even when there's cheating, lying, you know, Krishna appears to be doing the exact opposite in our life. Well, Krishna, if you only gave me $2 million, I'd be so happy. I could serve you so nicely. Why don't you give me $2 million? Well, make it 3 just to be safe. And throw in a dog. I could really use a dog. I need a good friend. If I had a dog and $3 million, I would really be happy. I could serve you so nicely, uninterrupted. What do you think? Forget it. So we can in there. Let's see if there's any questions. But Balaram was saying about I asked him about suffering, and he gave a good answer, a couple good answers yesterday. But here's another thing, other than Dravida. Now he's enthusiastic, and he knows the answer. So, but those you're not up to his speed, I want to give you a chance. Why you see the potter, you know, clay pot, you know. He's kneading the clay, you know, working the clay. I mean, is it therapeutic? He's working out his childhood angst. Why is the person kneading the clay? Anyone know? Oh, Joseph.
Soften it up.
Soften it up. Okay, that's close. You're in the right. Is somebody get this gentleman some prasadam? No, it's not okay. Somebody should jump right on it. Hang on 1 minute. They're going to get you some. He's on it. Chad, just tell him to make sure he hangs out. They're going to bring it to him. Victor. Way to go. 10 points for Victor. Give that man an extra sweet ball. You get out all the sticks, all the right. You're right. To make it smooth, it makes it homogeneous. It's not really the right word. I'm looking for, but so that, because why? Okay, now we know what he's doing. He's getting all the air bubbles, all the sticks, everything. But why? If you don't get all the air bubbles out, why? Creates fracture points, close. I have a niece who's an expert potter. So she knows why. She told me one time. Because when you fire the clay, you got a beautiful vase. If you didn't get all the air bubbles out and you fire it, the air expands, it'll crack the pot. So you get it out so it's, you know, consistent. I can't think of the right word, but it's, you know, uniform. Yeah, that's good. I'm looking for another word. But so why are we suffering? Why are devotees? If I'm under the dive of, is Bhagavad Gita wrong?
No. I'm sorry.
Well, hang on, mate. If Krishna's all good, absolute, and Krishna's the controller of all things, I'm lining up the Dhamma. You know, he's all good. He's all powerful. I'm under his divine energy. I'm under his shelter. Then why is this happening? He's kneading me. He's working me. He's purifying me. He's helping me advance and grow and deepen my bhav and my bhakti. It's the all-merciful, therapeutic hand of the beneficent Lord. Okay, we can end there. Any questions?
I have a question. Is that okay?
This is a different voice. This is not our...
Maitreya.
Oh, Maitreya, fire away, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I love that example about kneading the clay and getting the air bubbles out. And
It's
that's what-
Prabhupada's example. Go ahead.
It's so sublime. Anyway, you spoke about surrender, made some very nice cogent points about surrender. And I would love it if you could clarify a little bit. Sometimes the idea of I'm trying to surrender, I'm going to surrender, I'm surrendering. If you could just give us maybe a few examples of what surrender looks like.
Oh, you hit my weak point. Well, surrender. Prabhupada said, I have my plan, you have your plan, and Krishna has his plan. So, I'll give you another example. Let me think about it a little bit, because it's a good question. It means to cooperate with Krishna. Who's got a dictionary? Yeah, look up the word surrender, but it means that, we think, I can certainly speak on this point, we think we're God's gift to the earth. And we think we've got it all figured out. We know what's best for me and best for this. And if we just, But what are we? We're tiny little jiva souls. Prabhupada said we're being kicked like a football. And he's talking about soccer, or, European football. We don't know anything. We don't know what's good for us. I wanted so many things. There was a devotee who wanted 2 wives. Everybody told him it's a bad idea. In Vedic tradition, if you're a Kshatriya, there's a right time and place for it. This is not the culture. We don't have the... But the guy wanted 2 wives. So finally, he got a second wife. He got someone willing to be a second wife. You know what happened? 2 wives fell in love with each other, left him the kids. No, I can tell you his name afterwards. You know this devotee. 2 wives fell in love with each other, skipped out on him, left him with the kids and a huge credit card debt. What? My marriage went up in smoke. And it was a very painful experience. By Krishna's grace, kids turned out okay. Wife married another guy, so many things, she's, I don't know what, but that's another issue. But the kids are okay. And I turned out as a sannyasi. Krishna's mercy on me. It all worked out. I couldn't understand it at the time. It made me humbler. So, surrender means one of them. Did you get the definition of surrender? What did we get? Give it to me. Yeah, don't make him get up. Give it to me. You can't make it bigger? All right, hang on. Wow. To yield, to give oneself up, as to the police, to give oneself up to some influence, to give up, abandon, or relinquish, to yield or resign in the favor of another. That's pretty good stuff. I think that's here, give it. Thank you very much. Because the thing is, if you go all the way ontologically, if you go all the way back to the root of who we are, there's all kinds of selves. I'm listening to these tapes by Akandadi Prabhu. I mean, when we say myself, well, there's the physical self, there's the emotional self, there's the self we present to the public, we have our social self, how we're defined by our environment. I mean, there's so many. There's the voice in our head that never shuts up. That it's always judging and analyzing and sometimes giving good advice. So there's all kinds of selves. What is the conscious self? There's the unconscious self. So if we go all the way back to the root of the thing, we are created to give Krishna pleasure. And making Krishna happy makes us happy. That's how we are made. That's how we're wired. And trying to make all those other selves happy, just there, it's shallow. It's empty. It doesn't really, as the old commercial used to say, it doesn't really hit the spot. It doesn't scratch the itch. It doesn't really satisfy our essential desire. What satisfies us is pleasing Krishna, being part of Krishna's plan, being empowered by Krishna to distribute books and open temples and distribute prasadam and make a nice garland, dress the deities beautifully. That ultimate, when everything else, all the other selves, when we realize our real self. So that's surrender. Surrender is not a loss. Surrender is not grit and bear it. Just, all right, I got to surrender to God. I'll just do it because after a while I'll get to go to heaven and get my 9 virgins or however many it is. So, is it more than that? All right. When I had a guy told me, did a riff. Anyway, sometimes you get some interesting people you meet on the street. He said, whoops. He said, when I get to heaven, gonna see them pearly gates. When I get to heaven, gonna eat them chops and steaks. So everybody's got their idea of heaven, that they're the enjoyer, but it doesn't work like that. So surrender is not a loss, but surrender means, all right, like Hiranyakasipu, I'm going to stop arguing and wiggling and squirming. I'm going to do your will. I'm going to aim to please you, and I'm going to accept what you do, and I'm going to cooperate. And lo and behold, we become the happiest we've ever become. That's true happiness. Okay, we can end there. Thanks a lot. Nice question. All glories to Prabhupada. We only take Krishna prasadam. Is that a loss? You're going to walk out there for a nice breakfast?